Hi everyone, welcome. So today we are going to be talking about DED for Liberian citizens and nationals that live in the US. This has been extended, yay. It was extended in June. I'm just getting to it now because there was just a lot that has happened in the immigration world since then, especially the parole in place stuff. So we are going getting into DED, talking about what it is, who qualifies, and what does it mean for you if you are a Liberian national or citizen that qualify for DED. What do you have to do to take advantage of it? So let's jump right in. So DED is deferred enforcement, is basically the US government saying that if you are from this country, we are not going to actively try to remove you from the US, and you can apply for a work permit at the same time. So not only are they not going to try to deport you, they're also going to allow you to apply for a work permit. Right? There's no special form you have to fill out for DED. So you just have to meet the requirements, be able to prove that you meet the requirements, and you apply for a work permit. All right? There's no special form for specifically DED. You just apply for a work permit with proof that you meet the requirements for DED. So the last time that the US government basically created DED for Liberia was in 2022. There was a memo that basically laid out what are the requirements for DED. Like I said, there's no special form for this, so you just go by this memo. So basically, it is for people who would be ineligible for TPS for reasons, for example, criminal record, or they did not meet the physical presence requirement. So if you're under that, you did not meet the requirements, you may still be able to apply for a work permit under DED. All right. The cutoff date for physical presence. Okay. All of these stuff, TPS, DED, has to do with were you in the country at the time that was required. So you had to have been physically in the US on May 20, 2017, and you have not left. That's the other part. So anytime you leave the US, you cut off that physical presence. So the cutoff date is May 20, 2017. If you were here as of that date, but you did not qualify for the permanent residency through the LRIF, which was basically a green card specially carved out for Liberian nationals. If you did not qualify for that, or you missed the deadline for that, for whatever reason, you did not meet the requirements, but you were here since May 20th, 2017, you can look at DED as a way to have a work permit, and that is it. Okay, you get the deferred. I cannot say this word today. Deferred enforcement. Okay, which basically, like I said, it means that the US government will not actively try to remove you from the US while the DED is in progress. All right, this was set to expire this year, right? The DED was set to expire this year, but it has been extended to 2026. So if you missed the window before and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can still apply, well, as long as you were here since May 2017, and you meet the requirements for DED, you are able to still apply for a work permit. All right. So just keep that in mind. Another reason that you may not be able to apply for DED or work permit under DED is if the reasons that you do not qualify for TPS is because of certain criminal records. You would not qualify for that, right? If you applied for the permanent residency under that Liberian carved out permanent residency thing, and you were found to be ineligible, you would not be able to apply for this as well. So it's really important that if you think you qualify for it, you need to look at what are the reasons that you did not apply under the green card process, because again, that was specifically carved out for Liberian citizens. So if you did not qualify under that, you may not qualify for DED. So you need to look at those things. However, if the reason you missed the green card application process is because you did not know about it, or you missed the deadline to apply, you can still be protected under DED. So again, really, really important to know the difference. The difference between not basically being denied a green card under that Relief Act versus being denied versus not being able to apply because you missed the deadline. Anyone that was applying for that Relief Act permanent residency will know that they had to move the deadline because not enough people were applying or even knew about the program. So really important to make sure that you do not disqualify yourself with this. The main thing is the only way you don't qualify for this technically is if you have broken laws and immigration laws as well, right? If you're not physically in the US anymore, if you were here May of 2017, but you are no longer here, you no longer qualify, right? It doesn't bring you back into the US if you have been removed. So let's keep that clear as well, okay? Now, the US government basically are saying that this deferred enforcement is going to be extended to June 30th, 2026. So that's an additional 2 years of deferred enforcement, basically meaning if you qualify, apply for your work permit, and know that you are not at risk of deportation for that 2 years, as long as you do not do anything that disqualifies you from DED. Okay, the whole 2 years you have to maintain your maintain the eligibility requirements. So if you ever get arrested for certain crimes that make you ineligible for DED within that 2-year period, you no longer have DED. You no longer have that protection. The US government can, and in some situations will, actively try to get you deported. So really important to keep those two things in mind. And when you apply for a work permit, it is only going to be good until June 30th, 2026. Okay, so once you apply for it and you get your work permit, it is going to be good until June 30th, 2026. After that, it stops unless DED is extended once again. So that is the basic gist of DED. This is an update from this year. Like I said, there's just been a lot of news, especially the parole in place since June. So I am just getting to this. I'm sorry, y'all. I am so sorry. But try to bring it to you as soon as it happens. But sometimes we just can't. Okay. All right. If you're joining me and you have questions, put them in the comment. Jose Vega, I see your questions. I'm going to get to that next. So, hi. My mom had her interview for adjustment of status about 2 weeks ago. I checked her case online and her case moved to active review. What does that mean? So typically after an interview, if there was not an immediate decision or if there needs to be like an additional review of the file in order to approve it, it goes to case is actively being reviewed. In most situations, it doesn't really have a tangible meaning because it could just mean that it was now put back in queue for the officer to go back to it and make a decision. It could also mean that there may be some background checks that are currently happening, or that the officer has gotten back to it and is doing a final review. What I will tell you is Every time an officer goes into a case, because they have literally made everything online now for the officers. So every time an officer goes into a case and does anything on the case, it automatically updates most of the time as actively being reviewed because there was an officer in the case. Whether they're just like checking one thing and not actually trying to make a decision, it goes to that status update. So just know it does not mean that she's not going to be approved. It could mean that they went in there to put the request for her card to be printed, and that's why it said actively being reviewed. So it could be a multitude of things. If it's only been 2 weeks since your interview, give it some time. Okay? Give it some time if it's only been 2 weeks, because 2 weeks is nothing. So typically, after 90 days of an interview, if there has not been a decision, we do a follow-up with the embassy, with USCIS. But you want to make sure that you are giving it room. Stay out of the online case status as much as possible. I know it's so hard when you have a case pending and you have the online account and you can just go in and see what's going on. Try to stay out of it at least for the first 30 days of the interview, because if they have not made a decision right away, you will just be scared by the lack of decision. So just make sure you are giving yourself some room and not always in your account looking at the case status. Again, it does not mean that there's anything wrong with your case. It just means they have not made a decision yet. All right. Hi, Victor. Welcome. If you have any immigration-based questions, if you have questions about DED for Liberians, please feel free to put them in the comments. If you're watching this on the replay and you have questions, put them in the comments as well. This live is probably going to be a quick one because that's really all we have to talk about today, and your questions. So if you have questions, put them in the comments. I am more than happy to answer your questions, okay? All right, so I do not see any questions. Again, put them in the comments, replay, put them in the comments. I do go back and respond. And just to bring it all back together again, DED for Liberians have been extended for another 24 months. That means Liberians that meet the requirements for DED do not have to worry about deportation for at least the next 24 months. Until June 30th, 2026, they do not have to worry about deportation. They can apply for a work permit while they are waiting to see if DED is extended again. Again, DED stands for Deferred Enforced Deportation. Okay, so basically they are deferring the enforcement of deportation for people from Liberia. You do have to have proof that you are from Liberia, okay? But if you meet the requirements, if you do not have any negative factors, you can go ahead and apply for a work permit based on DED and go ahead and actually get this, okay? So make sure you are meeting the requirements before you apply for the work permit, because if you don't qualify, you are going to get denied. If you do not present documentation showing that you qualify, you will be denied. So make sure that you are doing it right the first time. If you want help with that, feel free to schedule a strategy session with me. Let's make sure you qualify and get you that work permit. Again, DED only gives you deferred enforcement. It does not give you any other legal status in the U.S. It is not a path to citizenship. It is just a way for you to legally stay in the U.S. for the time being and be able to work in the U.S. Okay, so I always have to clarify that because sometimes it can be confusing. Okay, when they are putting out these programs and you want to know, oh, okay, can I apply for a green card? Can I do this? I always want to give you the full picture. DED gets you a work permit and protects you from deportation. That's all it does. All right. If you are able to apply for a green card, apply for a green card because DED does not provide that. Now, if Congress decides to extend or reintroduce the Liberian Relief Act, you may be able to then apply for a green card, but they have not indicated that they plan to renew that or bring that back. So DED is really all there is, that's specially carved out for Liberian citizens. So if you don't already know about this, if you have not already applied for your work permit, make sure that you are doing that. Remember, the cutoff date is June 30th. Oh, I'm sorry, May 20th, 2017. So you have to be physically present in the US since May 20th, 2017. If you meet that requirement, you can apply for a work permit. There is no special forms for DED. There is only the work permit application showing with proof that you meet the requirements for DED. All right, so I do not see any questions. If you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the comments. If I don't see any questions, that would be all for today. So I'm just going to give y'all a few more minutes to see if there's any questions that come in. All right. So looks like there's no questions. So thank you all for joining me. If you have questions, remember you can always put it in the comments. If you would like to work with me or just get a consultation where you can figure out what you qualify for, what the steps you need to take are, and if we can work together to make that happen, that's great. If not, that's okay. The point of the strategy session is to strategize, to figure out what it is that you need, what we can do, what you can do, and making a decision. The point of it is for you to know where you're going to go next with your whole situation. So if you want to know that, schedule a strategy session. If you go to my website, lilylegal.com, click on contact us, and you can actually select a date and time that works best for you for us to chat about your case. Or you can call my office at 508-443-1788. The 15-minute session is completely free. Like I said, it's a strategy session. We figure out what you qualify for, strategize about your case, and what the next steps need to be for you. Like I said, website or phone call are the best ways to schedule that. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.